I think we're going to go into an early spring as well. As best of my knowledge, we've had 3 thunderstorms since the first day of winter.
Okay,
we've had thunder 3 different times, but you got to have the 3 different fronts. And looking at, we may still have some cooler temperatures. I mean, it's February. I think we're supposed to get some rain Thursday, where they're saying it's going to get colder. But I take a look at the 15-day outlook, and it's not that much colder. It's not like we're dropping down near 28 or anything, or to the freezing mark. It's going to be chilly, especially in the morning, but it looks like we're just having that mild, steady wintertime. I mean, here with the 80s this week is kind of unusual, but in our upper 60s to low 70s, it's beautiful weather really for Central Florida. So I've got my fingers crossed that we're done with it. Myself and someone else, we had looked at one of these 3-month long range forecasts, and you can never really, I wouldn't put my money on those a lot of times, but they were saying that we were going to be above normal on the next 3 months. I'm thinking we're done.
Cool temperatures Friday, not cold, just cool.
Right, cool.
Which kind of we're looking forward to because we're doing First Friday Art Walk.
Okay, right.
So no rain, cool temperatures.
No rain, and that's and cool. I mean, it's February. It is still officially wintertime until the 21st of March. So you have to expect some temperatures to be within our, what we would call normal winter. The staying above the freezing is a good thing. That's what I want. It can stay nice. I've started seed in my little greenhouse / shade house for the spring. So, I'm not afraid to go ahead and get started on it today. What was it, last week over at the Ag Center, planted some lettuce and carrots and radish. Got part of that bed finished, ready to go. The other bed this morning, I planted some more onions and carrots and lettuce and all those things that are going to love this cooler weather. Your radish and lettuces are so quick. You can plant them almost at a 2-week period and get a good crop.
I wanted to ask you something.
Yeah.
Okay. When we had this guest on, he was talking about how healthy potassium is for you for so many different things, and you would find it in green, dark green leafy vegetable. Okay, in bananas and other things. Right. I think radishes was named. I think
it could be.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
My question is, does the amount of potassium or any of the minerals that are good for us directly correspond to the quality of the soil it's growing in? Do you know what I mean?
It can be equated. The plant itself.
Where does it get potassium from? Does it make it?
The plant itself creates its own. Really? Within there, but you've got to have a good, healthy soil. We do normally add some potassium in when we put a fertilizer in. Your basic fertilizers contain nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium.
Okay.
So it utilizes that and stores it within its tissues, but I think it creates some of its own as well. Only thing with the potassium, it is good. It's healthy. Kale has become the new wonder. A few years ago, I think it was the sweet potato. Everybody ate sweet potatoes with everything, and now it's kale. You're either eating it or juicing it. People on certain medications have to be careful with that, so you have to watch out and limit that. And so if you are on anything, it's generally those with heart issues who are on blood thinners. Check with your doctor before you get consuming too much of that, because you don't want to affect things like that.
Yeah, I do remember that as well. Yeah.
Right. So it's always one of those things. It might be everybody else's wonder thing, but it's for it to be that wonder item, you do have to consume high quantities of it. So to me, it's everything in moderation.
So if the soil is not,
if it's deficient.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Then would the plant still have potassium or it wouldn't grow? Or what would happen?
But it may not be thriving as well. It might not be as healthy of a plant, may not have as dark a green color. Anytime the soils are lacking, you can tell, because the plants either don't grow as well, they don't flower as well, succumb to insect or disease issues much more quickly, just like any of us. If you're well fed, if you eat a good balanced diet and things like that, generally colds and things like that seem to stay away from you, or you get through them much more quickly, with less symptomatic issues on it. So that's that's where they say take good care of yourself, and you're actually taking care of yourself for a longer period of time.
Makes sense.
So it's just
makes sense. And then growing it yourself, you know exactly what's in it.
And exactly, if you're growing it yourself, right? If you're using pesticides, you know it's pesticide free. You know what fertilizers you're using. You know what other amendments you've put in the ground, and you know how fresh it is.
Right.
And some of the best. Really, it does taste different. If you grab a tomato out of the garden on a warm spring summer day and you slice that open, or you just take a bite of it, it tastes so much better.
I think you're right.
Than the one you buy at the market and that you bought 2 days earlier, and it took 2 days to get to it. And they may contain, similar nutritional value, but of course everything that begins to get too far past its optimum ripening does begin to lose nutritional value.
Right.
But it's...
I remember as a kid, my neighbor was an older German couple, and in the backyard they had a garden about the size of this room.
Okay.
Not the shape,
huge,
but about the size. Yeah. And they would always give us tomatoes. And this was New York, so they were growing them whatever you could grow in New York. And Always, every year. And I sort of, when you say the taste of homegrown, that's what I remember is that flavor.
Right, is that flavor. It's just one of those things. You go out and you pick a good pound or better green beans and root around underneath your potato plants and find a couple of potatoes and yank an onion and wash them all up, throw them all, chop it all up, throw it in a pot, cook that up a little bit, and that's just going to taste so much better than anything else you're going to find.
We're up to the first break. The phone lines should be working, guys out there and ladies. I know that we've had some phone problems, and you probably are aware of them. But we certainly would love to have your calls. I think it's working. Galen was on this line all morning. We'll be right back.
It's brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Dense fog will mix out this morning. Mix of clouds and sun for the day. Also a spotty shower, especially in the afternoon. High of 76 to 81. Partly cloudy tonight, a low 65 to 68. Partly sunny tomorrow, high of 78 to 83. And rather cloudy with some showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon Thursday, high 67 to 77. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Maggie Johnson.
Do you suffer with pain, numbness, and tingling in the hands or feet, often diagnosed as peripheral neuropathy? Are you taking drugs such as Lyrica, Neurontin, or gabapentin that never seem to fix your problem? Has your doctor told you to just live with the pain? Peripheral neuropathy is a result of damage to the nerves, often causing weakness, pain, numbness, tingling, and the most debilitating balance problems. This damage is commonly caused by a lack of blood flow to the nerves, which causes them to begin to degenerate. I'm Dr. Walker, DC, of Ocala Spine and Injury. Our new treatment methods can provide relief from neuropathy as long as your nerves have not sustained at least 85% nerve damage. I will do a neuropathy severity examination to determine the extent of the nerve damage for only $70, consisting of a detailed sensory evaluation, extensive peripheral vascular testing, and a detailed analysis of your neuropathy. Call 732-5590 to make an appointment. That's 732-5590.
Hey, I'm Gary.
And I'm Eric. Did you know that Red Eye Radio is on WOCA The Source every night from 2 to 6 a.m. and it's live?
That's right. No tape shows here.
We know that the news doesn't sleep.
And neither do we. So we're here with you live from 2 till 6 a.m. every weekday. Call us 866-90-RED-EYE. So join me, Gary McNamara.
And me, Eric Harley, every weeknight to discuss the latest in news and entertainment.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my
too.
seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new truck.
Yep, we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too.
Well, as a matter of fact, join me, Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Automotive, every Tuesday at 10 for auto repair with personal care right here on The Source.
WWWOCA, WWWOCA.
Your source for the #1 sports weekends. Fox Sports, only on 96.3 FM, 1370 AM.
This is WOCA, News Talk 1370.
We are The Source, WOCA.
Attention passengers for Flight 1370. The plane has been delayed at its departure point and will be at least 2 hours late. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Are you serious? It took us over an hour to get here, 2 hours going through security and getting our tickets, and now we have to wait another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful here, but we're inside this overcrowded airport all day because the plane is stuck in bad weather.
This is the last time we ever do this. When we get back, we're going to Ocala Aviation and getting our pilot's license.
Yeah, we've been talking about that long enough. It's about time we did it. Then we could just fly ourselves and never have to deal with this mess again.
Right. No long lines, no full body groping security, no baggage checks.
Not to mention never losing your luggage. Remind me again why we haven't done that?
Well, we're idiots.
Oh, right.
Attention all passengers for Flight 1370. It looks like the plane is going to be delayed a little bit longer. The airline has lost the pilot's luggage. Isn't it time you got your pilot's license? Call Ocala Aviation today. 352-861-7484. That's 352-861-7484. Hey, you've earned it. Call today.
All right, 19 minutes after 9 o'clock. Carolyn Baldwin is here. Let's return to In the Garden with Carol Ann.
And we were talking about, the soil and things like that. And I will say we've got, Master Gardener Spring Festival coming up. We are coming into the time to start planting spring veggies. You're still planting cool season vegetables. You plant your flowers and things like that. Soil testing can, if your pH is wrong in your soil, it locks up the nutrient that's there. The plants, it has to be available. They can't use it if that pH is too far off. So if you've either had some difficulty in a garden bed with your vegetables or herbs or anything like that, have the soil tested. It's not hard to do. It's $2 for your sample. And usually what you do, if you've got a 100 square foot garden, which is like 4 foot by 25 feet long, that's a nice size garden area. You're just going to take some samples all the way through there, mix that all up in a little bowl or a container, and then take about a quarter of a cup of that, have it bone dry. They want it in a little paper bag.
Bone. I thought you were talking French there for a second.
Bone dry. bone dry. And take it over to the Ag Center, and they will be testing. The next testing date is the 11th of February, which is in another week and a half.
Okay.
So a week from this Thursday. So you've got a few days to do it. They get the results back to you promptly, and so you can make any adjustments if necessary. Just make sure you let them know, are you growing vegetables? You've been trying to grow herbs? You're trying to grow flowers? And if you're doing new beds, you might want to check just to see whether or not you really need to do anything. So many folks who come here from other parts of the country think immediately it's spring, I need to put down lime.
Right.
It's not necessarily so. Have your soil tested. Don't put the lime down. It's harder to get it back to an acid soil than it is to make it more alkaline.
Oh, really?
So, have it tested before you amend.
And you have a phone call. Let's take that call. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Yes, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Always look forward to this program. It's been a big help for me.
Oh, thanks.
See, I had several oak trees removed, as you probably know, and one in particular in my front yard where my drain field and septic was, and I was told by the professionals that tree might cause a problem with the root system eventually, so I had to take it out.
Right.
That was about 3 years ago. There's still a lot of roots that are just are near the surface. When I walk in the front yard on the lawn, I can feel them. Are those roots... do they? I know eventually they're not going to be alive anymore, but do they still live a couple of years or months after the tree's cut down?
They're probably not growing anymore because once there's nothing on the top, so long as they're not sprouting, along those routes where sometimes you'll get a sucker or something like that to do. But if they're not they're dying. They're not actively growing. They are dying off because if there's nothing on the top to create the photosynthesis to continue to feed those roots, they're not gonna continue to live. So if the tree's been cut down, the stump was ground off, those roots are dying off pretty quickly.
Okay. A thing I noticed too is, wherever you have your drain field and septic, the grass always seems to be green and growing better all year round.
Sure.
Why is that? Because I know the water, the drain field itself is in the ground pretty far, and the septic is down there, and the water is going down, not up. So why is it green on top?
It's still there is active nutrient. I think even just through. Whether or not it's just through the air within the soil, because the soil does contain air, the moisture and things like that. That there's, I know it's always one of those things. The grass is always greener on the septic tank. It just one of those kind of things that that it does. Some of that probably comes through I don't want to say aromatically. That's just a bad visual, bad relay. But through those kind of ways.
Right. Say, being February 2nd, do we have groundhogs in Florida?
No, they used to do one with the Atlanta Zoo, but I don't know if they do. Any longer, do the one out of the Atlanta Zoo. But my prognostications has always been based on thunderstorms. We've had 3 of them, and so I'm thinking we're done with the serious cold weather. And
I guess groundhogs need to be living where there's snow.
Well, they need to be able to go into a hibernation, because as far as I know, that's what Puxatawny Phil is supposed to be doing, is sticking his head out and looking for his mate. And so,
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day. But yeah, that's one of those things. And they go and they, how can he tell if he can see his shadows or not when there's so many cameras and such like that? And one photograph I had, if he was actually facing the way the picture was, the sun was behind him and he's looking away. He should have seen his shadow. That would have been what you would have had on that side of your body, would have been a shadow.
There's a blind ground.
Yeah, it's a blind.
So it goes back to, I got this little thing from this morning, 1841, the earliest mention of Groundhog's Day. February 4th, 1841, a storekeeper by the name of James Morris wrote in his diary, he lived in Berks County, Pennsylvania. He wrote this, quote, "Last Tuesday, the 2nd, was Candlemas Day. Right. The day on which, according to the Germans, the groundhog peeps out of his winter quarters, and if he sees his shadow, he pops back for another 6 weeks nap. But if the day is cloudy, he remains out, as the weather is to be moderate." That's the first mention. So that's stem from that.
That's where it all came from. Right.
Although they must have done it earlier in Germany.
Right. Well, they had something to do with the Candlemas, actually.
I think is which I didn't even know what Candlemas was
until you got to get reading, and I'd have to look it up again because there's something to do.
It was a Christian thing.
Yeah, and it has, and two, that people have gone through with prognostication of weather based upon what the weather is on that day. You
think about how they used to predict weather. You know what's always amazing to me when the story is told? I think about Benjamin Franklin, who figured out that it doesn't materialize. It actually comes from somewhere else. Like there's clouds over there, and they're coming over here.
Right. It's not just boom here. There's.
But I guess at one point,
that they didn't understand. Sure. Well, that's why we learn. It's all a learning process.
So it's amazing how recently we learned it, though.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Or that it was actually
that wasn't that long
proven,
ago.
Maybe. People may have had ideas, but...
Yeah, or written down, maybe. Yeah, you're probably right.
But did not
Yeah, there's some dead guy saying, come on, I saw that years ago.
I just didn't know how to write. No.
Some dead guy saying that.
Some dead guy
doesn't make any sense.
No, I know.
Can I tell you what I heard yesterday?
What did you hear
I called
yesterday?
the internet, what was it, IRS on the phone. Said, if you or the person you were calling about is not deceased, please say yes or press 1. If you
or the person. Well, if you're not deceased because they're reporting you deceased, or you're reporting
yes
someone else,
or press 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're not,
well, the whole idea of saying yes not deceased, I was thinking, well, yes.
Yes, I'm not.
I'm not deceased. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm not deceased.
Right. Bingo. Yeah.
No, I am not deceased. Wait a minute. No.
Yes.
Oh, actually, no, I'm not deceased.
Right, no, I'm not. And so that's double negative, which means you are.
Yeah.
So, but
no wonder the IRS is all messed up.
And as I always say, this time of year, we're counting down. We've got Master Gardener Spring Festival coming up March 12th and 13th over at the Ag Center. I know I'm getting excited about it. All kinds of...
you can use your income tax return to buy some plants.
That's it. You can buy some plants. You could buy garden decor. You can trees and shrubs. I guess there's a food truck rally, which would be cool to, different foods this year, sounds like. And... the vegetable seeds and plants, educational opportunities, it's a great day, great 2 days. And for $1 admission, you're not generally going to find too much, a better way to spend a day, really, or a good part of your day. We've been lucky over the years to have great weather most of the time. Come out and learn something about ants and baits for their control. So, food myths, growing stevia, controlling garden insects, attracting your pollinators into the garden, all kinds of different things.
So, do you have a favorite? I don't want to say favorite garden. I don't mean like in somebody's home, but like Kanapaha. What's it called?
Oh, Kanapaha Gardens in Gainesville.
Or the one in Palatka. What's that one called? Is that Palatka?
I don't know. There's Lou Gardens. There's a bunch of, not really, because I don't get the opportunity to go to most of those. My husband's not a garden person with me, so it's not like the activities we do.
But you've been to Kanapaha, right?
I have been into Kanapaha, like
that's a
once
cool
years
place.
ago.
It's not really. I'm not really a garden person either, but it's kind of cool to be there. Just kind of walk through the place,
right,
and you see plants.
I mean, I even liked Silver Springs and Rainbow Springs as a garden.
Oh yeah,
because of the natural, natural beauty.
I told you about what Rob and I discovered. The old rodeo site was now going to be a native plant thing, right.
So that's just a new way of doing, and just natural plantings around is good for me.
We have to take a break. The phone line is open, and apparently it's working. So if you would like to call Carol Ann during the show, we've got a whole half hour left. The number is 622-9622, 622-WOCA. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. An upset in the GOP race for the White House in Iowa.
Cruz, the winner with more than 40,000 votes cast for him.
The Republican nominee and the next president of the United States will not be chosen by the media.
Donald Trump finished second. He says he's ready to be the nominee.
And we will go on to easily beat Hillary or Bernie or whoever the hell they throw up there.
And Marco Rubio getting a big third place showing.
Fox Radio's Tanya J. Powers. On the Democratic side, 94% of all Iowa precincts reporting, and Hillary Clinton leading Bernie Sanders by less than 1 percentage point. The FBI joining a U.S. investigation into Flint, Michigan's water contamination crisis, and the European Union unveils proposals aimed at keeping Britain in the 28-nation bloc. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Any Napa guy knows, and science proves, the best minivan is the one you've already got. Part kid transporter, part drywall mover. Who cares if the faux wood grain is a little faded? That was a platinum package option in 1987. With over 400,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. Because it's not old, it's vintage. That's Napa know-how.
Jerry opened the letter. An eviction notice? He and his family couldn't bear to move again. They'd just settled in. It was warm and they had plenty of space for their acorns. Jerry panicked. Anxiety took a hold of him. Then suddenly...
Yep, you've got squirrels in your engine. Looks like they chewed through the wiring.
And it was covered thanks to a farmer's agent. Engine Bay Squatters, May 23rd, 2015. Talk to farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Find forests of fun, make mountains of memories, discover your room with a view at the Ocala RV Show. North Central Florida's largest RV show is February 4th through 7th at the Florida Horse Park. Tour hundreds of RVs, local dealers competing for your business. Register to win a $100 gas card every day. No purchase necessary. Thursday through Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 10 to 4. Adults $5, kids under 16 free. Buy one, get one free Thursday. And military, active, or retired save $2 every day. The Ocala RV Show.
The very best in quality is Captain T's Upholstery.
Hey, this is Dan. Let me ask you a few questions. Does your boat look better with the cover on? Has your car's interior seen its better days? Stop using a towel to cover up those rips in the golf cart. Isn't it about time you had it restored to better than new with a custom upholstery from Captain T? Captain T's Upholstery has been right here in Ocala for nearly 20 years, so they know how to make your ride one of a kind. Whether you want to take that classic ride back to a factory look or put your favorite sports team front and center, Captain T's Upholstery is who to call. 352-369-1810. That's 352-369-1810. Or stop by their location, 5030 South Pine Avenue in Ocala, just past the drive-in. And of course, don't forget to visit them on the web, CaptainTUpholstery.com.
The very best in quality is Captain T's Upholstery.
Do you have areas that have started sagging or drooping? Is what you're looking at not quite the same as it was years ago? Are there enhancements you've been putting off? Is there serious damage you need fixed? Then call on us, Damage Control Services. When your roof is sagging and the drywall is drooping after a storm, or your home just needs some enhancements, from damage repairs to new construction, Damage Control Services is here to help.
All right, 26 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's return to Carol Ann Baldwin in the garden with Carol Ann. Remember, the phone line is open if you have a question or just want to chat with Carol Ann about your lawn, your garden, etc. The number is 352-622-9622.
Yep. And that spells WOCA?
That is WOCA.
There you go.
622.
Yeah, looking at, we're into February, and as we always do, is always looking ahead when you garden. So I guess you can say gardening is optimistic, and it's
you have to be.
You have to be an optimist.
If you're putting a little seed into the ground, and you think you're going to eat from that thing, that's faith. That's a whole God thing.
That's a whole thing. But this is February, and it can be a very active part of our season, or the beginning of a New Year's gardening season. This is the time of year when we think Valentine's Day is one of those, we always pick holidays to mark things.
Yeah, right.
Groundhog Day, are we going to have spring, or are we going to have more winter? Valentine's Day is the day to begin to cut back your roses and tend to those for a good growing season for the year. If you do any pruning onto crepe myrtles, we do that about the same time, the 14th, 15th of the month. Get the mower blades and things like that sharpened. Don't go throwing all the fertilizer out on the landscape yet. We still need those the grass and everything to begin to start to come out of their dormancy. But things like azaleas, camellias, if they're finishing blooming, you can, with your azaleas, you can cut them back and fertilize again. You don't want to fertilize these early spring or winter blooming flowers before they're finished, because a lot of times what you'll do is you'll force those buds to fall off because you force new growth onto them. So wait till they're done blooming, do your pruning to shape or to bring the size back down, and then give them their fertilizer.
And you have a phone call?
Great.
Good morning. You're on there with Carol Ann.
Hi, Carol Ann.
Hi.
Listen, I'm having a lot of trouble growing red cabbage. Is there something you can help me with?
Is it just the red cabbage, or is it the other?
Green cabbage is beautiful, but the red cabbage out of the, you buy them in the 6 containers.
Sure, yeah.
But there's 2 of them that have survived. One of them is pitiful, and the other one is struggling to live. and I've kept them wet. I put straw down. I have black cow soil amendment.
Right.
I'm thinking, what in the world am I not doing?
What does the plant just looks puny, or is it?
It's not growing. It's just, it's just very, very small.
Right. You know what? With that, I'm not real sure, because they should take the same type of growing condition as the regular green cabbage is. It could just be that plant just never had a good start from the beginning.
I never have had the soil test like you were talking about. Maybe I need to do that.
You may. Of course, this time of year, if if it's not doing too well, you're about finished with cabbage. You're not going to get a replanting in and get that to come to a true fruition more than likely. This year sounds like we may warm up rather quickly, and so
cabbage like the heat.
They don't like the heat. And it might even be that it might be a little more sensitive to the warmer temperatures than what the green cabbage is. And it just might not like it.
Try growing them in a pot. Maybe that would help.
It might. Yeah, if you do a container, just make sure, watch the drainage. You don't want to keep them too wet. And containers, sometimes we think, that they dry out quickly. Sometimes, the bottom of that container can be very wet.
Well, is a natural fertilizer something they don't like?
No. Natural fertilizers are.
I'm afraid to eat anything that he grows, but I don't use like Miracle Grow and stuff.
No, and that's fine. No, the organic fertilizers, just the compost and things like that should be fine for them. If you've been growing cabbage though for a couple of years, or more than one season in that same area, you might need to change places with it. It could be that is a bit depleted for the cabbage family.
Okay.
In that area.
Next question. I've got a patio lime.
Okay.
That's really been beautiful the last couple of years, but one half of it died off. I haven't cut it away.
Okay.
But it's just a bare stick.
Okay.
You can tell there's no life in it. When should I cut that? Do I have to wait for really warmer weather?
No. If it's actually a dead piece, just cut that off. It's not doing the tree any good, and so just remove that.
Okay. Yeah. Will anything come out in its place? Will it send out another arm?
It's quite possible in a little bit slightly different location there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot. Y'all have a great day.
You too. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. On some of the plants, in the garden, especially if we have a limited area where we can only plant, we're planting in the same place every time. When we can't rotate too well, it could be that there might be a year that you may need to just not plant that particular family, or give it a month and just keep packing organic matter into those areas and really build that soil back up. Sometimes we can overplant or overuse, or you get a pest issue or a disease issue in an area, and then for a couple of years you just can't plant that crop. Until you starve that out. It happened in the flower industry with flowers called impatiens, that they were literally off the market for about 4 to 5 years. Nurseries did not grow them so that the disease would starve out in the landscape.
That's interesting, isn't it?
And things, because they had a disease called downy mildew, and the downy mildew was in the soil. So you might have brought home a healthy plant that was grown in a sterile planting medium, but you put it in the ground and boom, they died. And that, they don't want that going on. So they had to actually wait and just not cultivate those plants for several years. And even still in our area, they've been a little bit difficult to come by. I'm not real positive why, except that they're just being real slow to reintroduce it to make sure that it's not going to just pop back up. So, but it's one of those kind of things. And actually, even over at the Ag Center, we thought we had it knocked out. Is a black mold on on the cabbage family, on that Brassicaceae family, to where the plant will be growing along and then it just starts to begin to rot, just the leaves and things. And the best thing to do is just rip out all of that, destroy it. You don't put it into your compost. And then for a couple of years, you just don't plant that family of plants.
And we have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I got a question about a palm tree I have
Okay.
here. I'm a northerner, kind of
Okay.
relocated, so I'm not too familiar with stuff around here. But it wouldn't be healthy up north. There's about 8 inches around the base of the tree where it meets the ground, like a green moss on the palm tree. I don't know if
Okay.
that's healthy, normal, natural, or the tree's going to die. I just don't know.
It's-
I'll hang up and listen for the answer.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, just moss itself is not an indicator of the tree doing poorly. Moss is just it's not feeding off the palm or anything like that. If it's just the good old moss, it could be someone planted some there at one time, and it likes the area. It's got enough shade, enough moisture, the ideal conditions for that moss to grow. The only things we think about, especially on palms, is if you begin to see fungal growths like mushrooms or what we call a conch, which is a hard mushroom plate type thing. It's called a conch that'll come out of the trunk of the palm. But at that point, when you see that, generally the palm is beginning to decline anyway. If the palm looks good, has the moss, if you don't like the moss, get the moss out of there, but the palm itself looks good, don't worry about it. It's not a big issue. We'll be fertilizing the palms here shortly. I usually say I like to get the fertilization done usually about the first part of March. And so, look into that. Some people like to start a little earlier, and again, it would be after like the 15th of February.
So just like the big farms rotate their crops, do you have to
Mhm.
do that with your little garden?
You really should. You really should, because there's certain pests that are endemic to certain plants. And there's certain diseases that are. And so if you can rotate your crops, you can continue a much more organic or less pesticide use type garden by keeping it healthier. You just have to be careful, because we all think of, we all know all your broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, greens, and all of that are all in the same family. So they're all related.
They're all going to get the same stuff out of the soil?
They can all get the same stuff out of the soil. They'll all have the same diseases, and those are all cool season plantings. We don't have a whole lot of other things you plant in the cool season except those. So it could be, if you have a problem, you may go without a winter garden for a season or two.
We are up to another break. Wow, it's going
Wow.
fast today. Okay,
sure is.
we'll take a little break, and if you want to call in, you're welcome to do that. The number is 622-9622. The area code is 352. So 352-622-9622. Carol Ann Baldwin is your hostess, answering your questions about your lawns and your gardens. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Dense fog will mix out this morning. Mix of clouds and sun for the day. Also a spotty shower, especially in the afternoon. High of 76 to 81. Partly cloudy tonight, a low 65 to 68. Partly sunny tomorrow, high of 78 to 83. And rather cloudy with some showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon Thursday, high 67 to 77. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Maggie Johnson.
For some, Valentine's Day means flowers and candy. Not for us.
Join us for the Valentine's Day Massacre, February 13th at the Southeastern Livestock Pavilion.
For 7 scheduled bouts of live professional boxing entertainment. Each bout is highlighted with local boxers.
So come out and support the future boxing Ocala. First bout starts at 7 and doors open at 6.
Proceeds to benefit the Boys and Girls Club. Tickets start at only $15.
Get your tickets at Central Florida Boxing, 1032 Southwest 1st Avenue, or call 352-292-2103.
Higher Education Radio is changing their airtime for February. Be sure and listen Friday the 5th when representatives from Webster University, College of Central Florida, St. Leo University, and the University of Central Florida will be in the studio to give us the latest information about higher education opportunities. Plan for tomorrow, today. Remember, Friday the 5th of February at 11 a.m. for Higher Education Radio, right here on the Source WOCA 96.3 FM, 1370 AM.
Have you heard of Hyperdirectory? When looking for local businesses, go to hyper.directory. No need for www, no need for .com, just hyper.directory. Connecting customers to local companies when it matters most. Hyperdirectory is your local business directory partnered with the Ocala Chamber and Economic Partnership to bring you trusted local businesses. Keeping Ocala local. Use hyper.directory. No www, not even .com, just hyper.directory. Connecting customers to businesses when it matters most.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Research tells us that exercise makes us smarter and more productive. However, different workouts give us different benefits. How much somebody earns is not indicative of whether they're a cheapskate or a spendthrift, because somebody who's broke could still have a shopping addiction. It happens all the time. But it turns out the happiest couples focus on just 2 words. Thank you.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
This is Kendall Carpenter, Director of Operations with Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club. I am proud to announce we will be hosting the Coates Golf Championship, presented by R&L Carriers, here the first week of February. This championship will feature the world's best LPGA players, including world number 1 Lydia Ko. Come and experience women's professional golf at its finest. The championship week starts February 1st and ends with the final round on February 6th. Join me to see the very best in golf at Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club.
Yeah, an exciting time because of that LPGA thing. You know, by the way, connecting that with gardening,
right?
That's got to be one of the most intense gardening jobs of all. Is it taking care of a golf course?
Right. The
landscape job.
The landscape thing of the. They actually have specialized programs for people who want to get into golf course maintenance.
Like if you wanted a lawn. Like the green, you know, where the hole is? Is it called the green? I don't even know golf.
I'm not real familiar.
But you know where
myself.
where the hole is,
right?
The putting area.
Right.
That's cool grass, whatever that's called.
Right. That's a very nice grass, and and
that's like a carpet.
It probably depends on where you're at in the country, which kind of grass it is. But like you, I'm not familiar, but I do know that they use different grasses
and the rest
in
of
different areas, in the rough, in the you got the fairway, the different areas, and it's different mowed at different heights as well. So it has to be different kinds of grass throughout those areas. So I'm not, and we don't need to get into discussion on fairway, on the grasses and the different golf courses. But yeah, that's a very specialized field, and when people are getting into horticultural careers and things like that, that actually is a specialty within that, because it is something different than say greenhouse growing of things. You're into a grass, into turf maintenance, and it's several different types of turf and mowing and fertilization and pests and diseases and things like that. But speaking of turf, that if you've had a crabgrass issue in your turf in previous years and you're still trying to work on preventing that or keeping it from coming back or getting rid of it, this is the time to put down the preventative for that. They have Crab-X, Halts, there's probably a couple more brands, some of the store brands, and it's Crabgrass Preventer. We don't really have anything in Florida that we can use as a post-emergent so that you can treat after the fact, so that's why we go with the pre-emergent. We put it down here, usually I always say the 1st of February, and then about the 15th of March. Gives that 6-week period where those seeds could be germinating, and that once they've germinated and start to get to any size, there's not a whole lot we can do on crabgrass around here, but you can try to prevent it.
Last week, I called you because I forgot to ask you on the show a question that Dan wanted me to ask.
Right.
We had an erosion problem over by the transmitter.
Sure.
And he wanted to know what kind of grass to prevent erosion. It had nothing to do with aesthetics. He didn't care what it looked like.
Right. It's not something, it wasn't a lawn area, it wasn't a landscape area.
So I don't know how many people can relate to that. I don't care. The people who just want something to stop the erosion, but maybe you could repeat that?
Well, yeah, on the stop the erosion, on something like that where it's where the transmission tower was, so it's not something that's going to be maintained a whole lot. It'll be mowed.
Just cut.
Nature's gonna water it, etc. I had said get one of these landscaper mixes for right now because it's still cool, and the ryegrass that's in that landscaper mix would come up and begin to take root. and start to give a little bit of stability to that. And then as that began to die off, that's generally full of Bermuda is what's in there. And then that Bermuda grass would take root, and Bermuda grass has a tough root zone. And it's not something that gets super tall. So that was pretty much my recommendation on that, is that way those roots will get in there, take it over, and pretty well should eliminate the problem. If you're a homeowner and you've got an area that's hard to mow, that's usually where our issues are. It's hard to get to, hard to mow it. And a lot of people will either use like the jasmine, the ground cover jasmines on those areas, because you plant them, space them out, and just let them do their thing. And they will just continue to grow. They don't flower. They get up, they mat over themselves is what they'll do, up to about a height of about 8 inches. Or you have your junipers. Again, you plant them, space them out as directed based upon which variety they are. They will grow together, holding the soil down. If you've ever tried to dig junipers up, you know that they will hold the ground down. It will take you all day to get them.
So that's a good one to hold.
That's a good one to hold down if you have a slope that has had some issues. If you just have some areas, a nice bright sunny area, if you can get a hold of the dune sunflower or beach sunflower, it's a native to Florida. You find it growing in Daytona Beach. If you plant it in the landscape where we have some pretty good soil as compared to beach sand, that will just cover an area, be a mass of smaller yellow sunflower.
Oh, really?
You've seen them at the beach. It will just fill an area, and
so
it's
you just
gorgeous.
grab them from the beach?
And no, don't just grab it from a beach. Find a nursery. Find a nursery that grows it, because it's illegal to take it from the beach. Yeah, you don't want to get smacked with stealing native vegetation off the beach. But there are growers out there that do grow it, and plant a few in there. Give it a little water. It'll take over that area, and it's a beautiful plant. You don't have to mow it. It will die back in the wintertime somewhat, but it's going to come back. Another item would be like the perennial peanut. Perennial peanut means it's going to die back some in the wintertime, comes back. It takes a little while to get established, but once you've got that in there, it's pretty. It's got a nice fresh green color on the leaf, and little tiny yellow flowers that'll stick up all over it, and that's it makes a great ground cover. Either you can plant amongst that one, or again plant it on an area where you've got some erosion issues or hard to mow areas. So. It's a good one.
Distracted by.
Yeah, we got folks walking by. We're waving out the window. The fog has burned off. The sun is shining
nice
out there. It
it
looks like a gorgeous day out there. I think it's supposed to be up in the upper 70s today. And we've got some rain tomorrow and Thursday, I think it is. So our grass is getting watered. So we haven't needed to turn our sprinklers on. That's another thing to do right now, was while we are still getting, grass is still dormant, have your irrigation system checked. If you can't do it yourself, call an irrigation company, have them come out, check, make sure that all of your zones are working. Replace the sponge in your rain detector thing, your shut-off system, because they don't last. You probably need to replace that. Say twice a year. Do it once in the spring, once again in the fall, and you know that system should be working okay, that it'll turn it off if we've had significant rain and allow it to come back on when we don't. But yeah, check your sprinkler heads. Make sure they're putting out enough water. And for how long? Maybe you need to adjust some zones and get that down to where you're not putting out 2 inches of water in one area and only a quarter of an inch in another. It's not based on it. It's 15 minutes will water unless your system's putting out your half to 3/4 of an inch at a time.
I have a question that you can't practically use this in your own yard, but why, when there's a fire, like in the forest, when you drive past it like a week later, why is it so brilliant green? Why is the green so rich after a fire?
After a fire, because all that nutrient that was deposited from all the ash and things like that, and then sudden sunlight that comes in there, and that's generally
Oh, is
pretty
that-
much some
okay.
weeds that are popping up.
Really?
Sometimes
Well, you've
it
seen
is,
it, right? You've
yeah.
noticed
Oh
it?
yeah,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
noticed it. Yeah, where you get all the scorch, you have the scorch, but you have
Yeah,
that
yeah,
bright
yeah.
green as well, and that's the nutrient that's released within the ash from that. That's your potash, going in there and.
Yeah. We walked
that.
through the trail. This was in the Rainbow Springs. I told
Oh,
you.
okay.
And we saw some look like it had been burned at
Right.
the lower end of it.
Okay.
Like the lower part of the brush.
Okay,
Like-
they probably did a controlled burn.
You think it was controlled?
Yeah, it might
I
have been a
wondered about
control-
that. Yeah.
And that way you're eliminating fire hazard by eliminating some of the either vines that
Okay,
might be,
okay.
and things that would be creeping through.
Wow. So how do they do
Yeah.
that? Just stand there with a hose?
They just torch it off. It's based on what the weather's doing. How much moisture there is, how much it'll burn off, and such like that. But they can usually just burn right through.
Yeah, some of the palms were
Yeah,
basically
little
gone.
scorched,
Yeah,
little
they were
scorched
basically
at the
gone.
top,
And the
yeah.
lower part of the trees, they were just kind of scorched.
Yeah.
And I thought, I wonder if that was natural or did they do that on purpose?
If it went up that far, it was probably something that happened naturally. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it might have been a fire or was set by somebody and it,
Yeah,
not- yeah.
that could be.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen these logs they sell at at Publix?
Oh, that the ones that are now cut in the
They
top.
say the
that have
bonfire,
yeah.
make a mini bonfire, but
Yeah.
don't put it on concrete because it'll crack the concrete.
It could crack your concrete.
Okay.
Yeah, or stain it.
Because it just gets so hot.
Yeah.
And what do you use that for?
You put it. It's going to be a fire. You're going to have entertaining out in your yard.
Oh,
You
just to have a yard,
right?
like
just
to
to
sit
have
around and
sit around
Okay.
and entertain. Yeah, and there's ways of doing those yourself, is taking and splitting a large log or chainsawing down and then putting your piece of fat wood down in the middle of that. I
Fat
think,
wood?
Yeah, fat wood. It's like heart of pine.
Okay.
Where it's sticky. It's got all the pitch in it. If you
Okay.
smell it, it smells like pine tree.
And it'll burn
And
easy?
it'll burn easy, and that'll light that up and
Oh, really?
makes a contained.
I should get one. I see them at Publix all the time.
Yeah,
I never saw
they're
them
not,
before.
They're not. No, that's,
Are they new?
It's something new.
Something new.
It's something new. So it's
Wonder
kind
if my
of nifty. Have to try.
neighborhood would mind.
If you've got it in an area where you can contain it.
By the way,
all right.
the peacocks in my neighborhood are doing very well.
Are they?
I just love the fact that they just roam around.
Yeah, this kind of neat.
They don't seem to be a
The
problem.
coyotes sound like they've been doing well as also.
Oh, you can hear the coyotes?
Yes, hear the
They
coyotes.
sound like wild men out there, don't they?
They're very frightening.
When you hear them?
Very frightening.
All right, what do I got to do? Where's your commercial?
Where's our music? Because we're looking at top of the hour, folks.
Yeah.
And we will have to
wasn't
see everybody
paying
on the
attention.
9th
There we
of
go.
February.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
So we'll see you next week.
Next week. We're already into the first week of February.
You gonna watch the Super Bowl?
Yes.
You're a Super Bowl watcher?
The commercials.
You got your food? You got your food ready?
No, not yet.
It's a big
I get
food
it
day.
together. Yeah, it is a food day. It's a good day.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. GOP candidate Ted Cruz is calling his Iowa win a victory for conservatives. Donald Trump came in second, Marco Rubio third on the Democratic side.
Hillary Clinton is declaring victory. Thank you, Iowa. Bernie Sanders also sounded like a winner at his caucus watch party last night. He told supporters that the people of Iowa sent a message.
To the political establishment, to the economic establishment, and by the way, to the media.
People I talked to last night at Sanders headquarters described his run for the White House not just as a campaign, but a movement.
Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland. Oil continues to rattle world markets, and the Dow opens down some 200 points.